Welcome to Ravensdale Bible Academy. Today's course is from our Think Again Christian series, Fake News, and today's specific lesson is word twisting. Word twisting is fake news because by definition it's twisting words. It's redefining what's being said. Now look, at the cornerstone of conversation, at the cornerstone of presenting real news, there should never be an attempt to try to twist somebody else's words. One of the great things about interviewing is that it should give the interviewer an opportunity to ask their questions clear and concisely, and then for the person responding to be able to respond clearly and concisely. This is how we get clarity, right? It's not as important, as Dennis Prager says, that we agree as much as that we at least have clarity in our positions. And so we know no news is real when the position being taken is an attempt to be clear. When you hear confusion, when you hear arguing, you should know right away that somebody's driving that to create confusion. Confusion's not a good thing, especially when reporting the news. What's the definition of word twisting? Well, word twisting is when someone insists that you really meant something that isn't what you said. An example is, I don't feel like going out tonight. Oh, what you really are saying is you don't like him anymore. What you're really saying is you don't love me. What you're really saying is you hate me. You see how the words of I don't want to go out tonight get twisted and escalated into something that's mean and nasty? Well, that's what word twisting does. And I really hate word twisting because it's such a purposeful way to misrepresent and present dis and misinformation. Well, it's nothing new. Unfortunately, it's nothing new. And the famous movie, which was a book before, Alice in Wonderland, and in the interaction with Humpty Dumpty of all, they talk about this idea of you can make words mean many different things. And that's really what's at the kind of the base of word twisting is let's make what you said or your intentions to mean something else. And then I will present them, I will package them in a way that I want to present your words with. It's really a despicable thing. We see an example of this with the president's press secretary, Jen Psaki. The discussion is about whether or not critical race theory should be taught at an elementary school level, in the school level with kids. And the idea there is, well, you're not teaching history. You're not teaching about racism. What you're doing instead is indoctrinating. Because they're only presenting a certain perspective and a certain viewpoint. That's again a form of propaganda, really. And so, when questioned with this, her response was, "Well, it isn't indoctrination; it's responsible." Well, she's twisting the words of the interviewer's question from a very serious accusation of indoctrination. That's like brainwashing, and especially with kids, and not presenting both sides of the discussion. And she's saying it's an actually responsible thing to do. Well, indoctrination is never responsible. And so she's twisting the words of the question around. Another example of a CNN anchor who is very popular, and what she did and what they do all the time is they don't include the full quote. They don't include the full story. And so really what they're doing is they're twisting the words of either what somebody wrote or somebody said. They can do this in an interview either by interviewing that person and cutting them off. They can do it by misquoting them. They can do it by taking their statements and just kind of mixing and matching as it suits them. Word twisting their words. And so an example of this was during January 6th, Donald Trump made a speech, and in his speech, which wasn't one sentence and it wasn't one paragraph, it was much longer than that, So there's multiple paragraphs here. And in his speech, well documented, he made these statements. We will stop the steal. There was a belief that there was irregularities in the election. It says we're going to stop the steal. And quote, we're never going to give up, never concede the election. Another quote, we're going to fight like hell. Now you could take those and say, look, this is a call to storm the castle, to storm Congress, and to fight. Now, politics has always used the hyperbole of fight, battle, win, right? That's nothing new. But what she failed to do was include two very, very important words, and that was peaceful and patriotically. That Trump also included that they march peacefully and patriotically, which means no violence, no storming, no insurrection of any kind. So you have to include the complete and the whole sentence, statement, story. What you really should be looking for is the real intent of the person's statement. And that's where the news, they don't care. That's what makes it fake. They have no interest in trying to present it as the true statement, but as one that they want to create themselves. J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series, came under fire because she was talking and taking the position that men are men and women are women. And anything other than that is just linguistic tricks. But she was attacked for her statements. And people started putting words into her mouth and calling all kinds of horrible names and making accusations for things that she never said. That's word twisting. Another example of twisting words and making words mean new things and different things. Keep this idea in mind. Let's ask this question. So you can't change your race, but you can change your gender. So we hear statements and we see articles all the time that have very, very fixed beliefs and values. So if we're talking about a woman's right to choose in abortion, well, then you can't change a woman from being a woman, a man from being a man, because a man can't have any say over a woman's right to have an abortion. But if you're talking about gender identity, well, then the man can say whatever he wants to say, and he can identify as whatever he wants to say. But if you're talking about race, well, you can't identify as a different race. There's no the confusion just never ends. So when we're talking about news, or we're talking about distributing news, giving right information, giving right facts, we have to be careful that words aren't being manipulated and twisted. And look for honest interviews where people are actually really giving both sides, giving or the person interviewed an opportunity to speak, and not seeing a twisting of words or a placing of words in their mouth, because that then is fake news.